I'm very excited to be playing against Dark first, but I don't think I'll do better than I did last year. Last year my performance was very good. I beat SOS, I was the only foreigner to beat a Korean, and then I almost beat TY in the round of 8, so it'll be really hard to do better than that this year. I definitely think I can get revenge on him. I usually beat him on ladder, and my PvZ is really good. I think I have a really good idea of what to do in the matchup, so I'm always confident against anyone in PvZ, but Dark is a very good tournament player, so it's always tough playing against him. I think most foreigners practice just as much as the Koreans, so I don't know why Dark would say that Koreans should always beat foreigners. There are foreigners that are very, very good, especially Serral is one of them. I was very disappointed after I lost to Dark, especially because I thought my skill level was pretty good going into the match, so I thought I could win. So I'd like to show my true skill level playing against him in the rematch. So, hey Dark, I'm sure you remember playing against a laser last BlizzCon. I'm gonna do something like that.
사실 작년도 뭐 인기 투표 해가지고 1등으로 올라왔었는데 이번에도 1등으로 올라온 거 보니까 아직 인기는 죽지 않았구나. 그것도 좀 전체에서 1등이었잖아요. 정말 좀 이렇게 뽑아주셔서 감사하고 전체 1등한 만큼 대회에서도 1등 해야죠. 이번 투표에서 윤수 형을 이제 제쳤다는 건 이제 모든 저그 중에서 이제 가장 인기가 많은 게 아닌가 그런 것 같아요. 작년에도 너무 압도적으로 1등이었고 실력적으로는 잘 모르겠지만 인기적으로는 다 압도하는 것 같아요. 저는 한국인 안 만나서 좀 다행이다 라는 생각했고 대진표 보고 대엽이 형 너무 부럽다 라는 생각도 했어요. 4강 못 가면 약간 바보죠 거기서. 저를 약간 이길 생각을 하고 왔더라고요. 2등 진출을 보고 있는 게 아니고. 그래서 지금도 그런 생각을 가지고 있어서 제 옆으로 온 건지는 모르겠지만 한 세트도 안 따였거든요. 아마 그게 그대로 이어지지 않을까. 이번에야말로 좀 이렇게 단단한 벽을 좀 세워줄 필요가 있는 것 같아요. 저는 근데 외국 선수들한테 왜 지는지 모르겠어요. 진짜 저는 이해가 좀 잘 안 돼가지고 물론 저도 한 번 지긴 했지만 헬로 닙 바이.
We are back here at the GSL versus the world, and this match, I'm so excited. Neeb versus Dark.
Oh man. Well, we learned a lot from those interviews, right? We learned, for instance, that Dark is very popular and he's very aware of that. We learned that he thinks that Koreans should not lose to foreigners.
That's something he kind of shows in his playstyle very often as well. Like, how many times didn't we stand behind the desk and we said, man, we're so excited to see Dark versus whoever was hot at that moment. This is going to be a great series. Game 1, Dark cheeses, wins in 3.5 minutes, and we're like, okay, well, there goes our narrative, there goes the storyline. But man, I really believe in Alex. I really believe that Neeb is looking stronger again than he has done in the beginning of the year. I feel like he's in shape, he's confident, and he really believes that he can get the job done here.
Okay, but I mean, you've got to do more than believe, Roddy. He got wrecked by Dark in GSL. And what is Dark's record right now against foreigners?
After he lost against Kelazhur, which Neeb reminded him of, he's like, you remember that? And Dark is like, yeah, and after that I won 31 series in a row versus non-Koreans.
All right.
It's kind of crazy, man. By the way, Neeb born the year that StarCraft started. Did you guys notice that on his birthday?
Oh, was he?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Is that a coincidence?
Maybe
I don't
Blizzard
think so.
programmed him as well.
That's right. They made one pro gamer to come down from the future. Look, Dark is going to be a tough opponent, but Neeb has had success in Korea in the past. He doesn't seem to get phased when he's down in studio events like this. In fact, I'd say he outperforms most other Korean players.
Yeah. I mean, he is a great tournament player, as said. And, I mean, what do you guys think about the actual match? I'm really feeling Dark here. I'm sorry, I want Neeb to win.
Artosis, we're taking your passport away from you. You can't say that.
Can I get a Korean one, or am I just going to be a
Yeah, you can have a Korean one, all right?
Okay,
but you can't be an
You know
American
what
anymore.
I'm feeling,
saying
Dan?
that.
I'm feeling carriers, and a lot of them. And I'm feeling
Carriers?
Yes. I'm feeling carriers all over the place. I look at Acid Plant, I think carriers. Lost and Found, carriers. Dreamcatcher, great map for carriers. And Red Ship, you know what? Give me some carriers too.
Oh my gosh.
That's how I'm thinking.
I think it's going to be in one of two possible directions. I think this might be one-sided and Dark would win, or it's going to be close and maybe Neeb comes out on top. And it looks like our game is ready. Neeb versus Dark on Acid Plant.
Ready, fight.
In the upper left here, in the blue, from the USA, he is
Team Neeb.
and his opponent down here in the bottom right, in the red, from Korea, he is
Dark.
All right, Tasteless, I'm feeling it. I'm super excited for this series. I genuinely believe that Neeb has what it takes here to potentially advance, but of course, it is going to be very, very tough. Dark simply doesn't lose a lot against non-Koreans, guys. I think in the last 5 years, he has lost one series. Neeb did remind him of it, and he's like, yeah, that's pretty much the only one I've lost in the last 5 years. As back then, the story was that Dark, I think, won 34 or 35 series in a row. Then he lost against Elaser, very big match, obviously, because it was at the Global Finals. But since that moment, which was almost 2 years ago, Dark again has won 31 series in a row. So that just shows you how hard it is going to be for Neeb here to potentially get the upset done. But I believe Tasteless. I really do.
I think Neeb can do it, man. I think it's time for Neeb to be the combo breaker here. It is going to be tough, though. I mean, you know, one thing about Dark is, I mean, this isn't just any Korean, right? Dark is more than confident in any given situation. Excuse me. I know that was in one of those WCX Signature Series videos, he had mentioned that he doesn't want to be remembered as a great StarCraft player. He wants to be remembered as the StarCraft player. I mean, so when you have a guy who's had such an insane amount of success like Dark has had, it's not enough for him. You know, he's got to keep going, which is kind of crazy. So Dark is certainly going to try to make sure that Neeb does not stand in his way.
Yeah, I love that you bring up that video. Guys at home, if you want to see some more StarCraft-related content after this show, take a look at that Signature Series of Dark, because it was a really good one.
Yeah.
He literally said that it makes him angry when he sees other players win tournaments, because he feels he should win them all. Like, I watched it, I'm like, damn, Dark, you're badass. Alrighty, guys, so this PvZ has officially started. Dark went up to 3 bases very quick, no surprise there. There is a Stargate for Neeb. We're also not surprised by that, because Stargates are just a great way to have some map presence, be safe as Protoss, and have a good idea of what you're playing against, which is very important, because they played on this map against each other just 2 weeks ago, and back then Dark just kind of won with a Baneling bust. He was able to break down the wall, got a whole bunch of Zerglings and Banelings into the natural and main base of Neeb, and the game ended. So it's important that Neeb has a good idea of what Dark is actually doing here on that.
That's right. We had 8 Lings just hatching there. Of course, Ling Speed is on the way. And we see that Neeb is going to go ahead and get an Oracle for now. And, you know, so far from Neeb, this looks to be pretty standard. I mean, you want to send that Oracle out. You want to try to take out as many drones as you can. The Zerg basically has to preempt that. So, I mean, there's not too much more to glean from this game so far.
Nope, it's just important that Neeb spots that there are drones being built, that yes, there were a couple of links. Those were mostly safety links. I must say, I feel like that's a high number of safety links. It almost feels like Dark is playing mind games here, that he's trying to make Neeb believe that there is a chance that he's Baneling busting him or link flooding him once again. We see that's not the case yet. But it's very uncommon for a Zerg like Dark to make this many Zerglings just to deal with the first 2 adepts. Neeb probably looks at this and he's like, man, that's a lot of links. This means that I've actually dealt economic damage without killing any drones.
Yeah, it's smart. It could be misleading when you first look at it. You'd say, okay, well, he didn't need that many, right? To defend? Well, no, but then that can actually cause the Protoss to get into a defensive posture, maybe even over-defend. So those the 2 other additional gates are done. Excuse me, I keep clearing my throat here. The Oracle's now moving out on the map, and there's going to be Phoenixes made behind this. We'll see if he actually shows the Phoenixes right away. Sometimes we see players pool them, and then they pop out all at once, and the Zerg has to react even faster.
So Dark is going to start +1 melee, which is obviously very good for Zerglings. The idea behind this is often to get a cancel on the 3rd base of Neeb. As Neeb tried to get that Queen, he doesn't get it.
Oh man, you know, that actually did not go very well for Neeb, that initial attack, only damaging a Queen, and I think he got only 1 worker, so yeah, certainly not ideal. There are some Adepts, though, coming out. They're headed southbound on the map, headed towards Neeb's Creep.
Alright, so there is a Robo going down as well on the other side of the map before we truly start paying attention to all these adepts. These adepts don't have resonating glaives, but it's a pretty serious number of adepts. However, the Oracle gets picked off, and the Oracle was actually very important in protecting these adepts here.
Yeah, you want to combo the Oracle with the Adepts because the Oracle can do so much damage. You can take out so many Lings. Phoenix is coming in with this screw, but it looks like he cancels the Shade, taking out a ton of these drones here. Dark is on the run. He needs to stop this attack now before his economy gets completely wound up.
So I like this by Neeb, but I'm very worried about the counter-attack, Tasteless, because he lost an Oracle, and I believe the other Oracle went down as well. Unfortunately, he couldn't pick up that drone. But there are so many Zerglings out on the map, and a single Oracle is going to have a very tough time keeping that Nexus alive. If Neeb can keep this Nexus alive, this would be great, but this won't be easy.
Yeah, by the way, how did that Adept not block the hatchery? That's like the only time I've seen a drone make a hatch and push an attacking unit out of the way. But you're totally right, Roddy. I mean, this attack over here, it's paramount that Neeb holds this up. Otherwise, Dark is going to be back on his feet with enough drones, and Protoss can't survive into a long game with this without getting a third base up, and he's already hemorrhaging so many gateway units over here.
It's so painful there was no shield battery here. If there is a single shield battery, that really helps keeping those Zealots and Adepts alive. Neeb is going to do whatever he can to keep this Nexus alive. Second Oracle shows up, but I still think the DPS of all these Zerglings is going to be way too high to deal with.
And the Nexus goes down, knocking Neeb back onto 2 bases. He's limping through this game, trying to get enough gateway units that he actually has some muscle on the map. I think eventually Neeb is going to get that third base back up and running, but he's been slowed down overall. And out of all the players that we have here, Dark is one of the last people you want to end up getting behind against early on.
Dark gets the surround on one of those Immortals as well. There's no shield battery on the other side of that wall. Can Neeb keep that Immortal alive? He tucks it in the corner, but it will fall. Now this is an interesting scenario, because obviously that's a great pickoff for Dark, and it's a 4-base Zerg. But he was actually down economically, in workers that is. He obviously has a better income, because he's spreading them at least over 3, soon over 4 bases. I think it's good for Dark, but Neeb is not down and out yet, because it's not like Dark is on 80 drones over here.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like Neeb is taking maybe one too many blows to the chin here as we go into this game. I mean, even losing that one Immortal, right? I mean, you want to keep getting the Immortals and stacking them up more and more and more. And you know what Dark's really done? He's done with, in a sense, very little. I mean, Zerglings are the most expendable units that you can have. So we'll see. I don't think it's impossible for Neeb to recover, but he's already kind of tempo-wise been thrown off here.
It is just a weird game at this point, because yes, Dark has that extra base, Dark has a better economy now, but Dark really delayed his stack for the fact that he got +1 on his Zerglings, and he made an insane amount of Zerglings as well. Like, what are we looking at? He's just making Ling Bane at this point, and obviously it's going to be an insane amount of Ling Banes. He has an infestation pit, he's just going to go straight to Hive. Damn. What is this playstyle from Dark? This is actually kind of bizarre.
Yeah, he's actually shooting up at his tech. Well, you know, Roddy, I think at some level, because he's actually bullied Neeb so much at the start of this game, he can kind of zigzag tech-wise wherever he wants to go. Now the question is Neeb going to push out? Because you can try to attack out here. I mean, Storm's what? It's a little bit over halfway done. You can try to move out on the map, and sometimes you will catch the Zerg completely off guard.
If Neeb even pretends to move out, what he is absolutely going to achieve is that he's going to force Dark to make a lot of units immediately. Because Dark right now, all he has are Zerglings and Banelings. If Neeb is able to, let's say, get 3 or 4 Archons out, the army of Arc really won't do much, especially not if there's Storm in the mix as well. Is Dark just going to go for like Ultras? Is that what we're looking at? As he's getting now 6? Wow, Swarm Hosts?
So cool. He's going for Swarm Hosts. Now, this is not what I expected to actually have in this series at all.
Now, +2 is very quick, by the way, on melee on the side of Dark. So Neeb needs to pull his workers away, Tasteless, because these workers, they will get one shot at the moment that +2 melee, we can see on the right side of our screen, finishes up. Banelings are amazing against probes.
I think what he's going to do, this is a whole trick where you try to get your opponent's screen to be in the wrong place. So he's going to drop in the main first to draw the screen away. Then this comes over here. And I don't think he's going to be able to move his probes in time. He's scrambling. 7 already go down with the initial Baneling hit. And look at this. He actually is turning around for a second. Oh, no. 13.
Now that's really solid damage, and a cancel on the 4th base as well. Dark is everywhere. He's getting adrenal glands at this point for his Zergling, so these Lings are going to be very feisty. And now the Swarmos start showing up as well. They're going to spawn Locust, and at the same time we do have an Ultralisk Cavern. Man, what a cool playstyle by Dark,
This is
right?
actually, if this gets pulled off. This is such an insane technical takedown here.
Uh-oh. Look at that Adept in the natural, by the way. There is no shield battery. Neeb has to be very careful.
Okay, we now know that Dark knows the exact amount of locusts you need to fire to take out an Archon in one volley.
I'm very worried about this natural of Neeb, because there's no battery to keep that Adept alive. If Adreno Glands finish up, Lings are gonna nibble their way through that Adept in the blink of an eye. And if you have to deal with 20 Zerglings with like +2 and Adreno Glands in your main and natural, I'm afraid that Neeb is gonna lose so many workers.
I think Dark really did capitalize on the fact that Neeb was forced to be a defensive player. He was forced to stay back. I mean, Swarm Hosts are a great way to exploit somebody who's just trying to keep everything sorted out at home, right? Because it costs Dark essentially nothing. Like, even these storms here, to take out the Locust, that's energy that's being traded for free units.
Yep. Now, there is a lot of energy on the side of Neeb, so using a couple storms against Locust is not the end of the world. This is a cool play as well. 4 Dropaloids, full of Zerglings. Once again, with +2 and Adreno Glands. Man, I love the way the Dark's playing this game. This is actually super cool.
I think it's going to be impossible for Neeb to have a 4th base that would be safe. It looks like he's going to hit 3 different locations. So the drop comes in the main. We see the Lings looking over here at the 3rd base, and just south of the 4th base is a huge amount of Zerglings there as well. We're seeing that right here.
Paylings just crushing into Archons. The Archons will disappear. The shield battery gets picked up. Look at that Forge, how quickly that Forge is going to go down as well.
It is! Okay. It can only get worse from here for Neeb. We have another attack over here at the 3rd. Probes being evacuated, although 11 have already been killed, and now the Locust will take out this 4th base.
Dark is styling over here, Tasteless. He is absolutely putting on a clinic of how to play ZVP in a very cool, creative way. You're gonna see +3 Zerglings before +1 is done for the Protoss. How many games have you casted where that is the case?
I don't think very many. I mean, I think, what, did he get a mothership?
Yeah.
Is it one of those out? So he has that. Doesn't quite have the army to cloak it with, you know.
And he doesn't have the army to attack either. The moment he moves out, Dark is going to kill all of his buildings.
Yeah, that's right. This is basically a choose-your-own-adventure for how Dark wants to win this game, because there's so many ways he can close this out. So for the time being, it's Neeb trying to rebuild back on 3 bases, trying to get an economy going. Whereas for Dark, I mean, you could just see that he's going to continue to throw punches here. And I think we will eventually be going into Game 2 with Dark having a 1-0 victory.
Yeah. And the way that Dark has done it as well, this is really impressive. Man, I'm actually loving this gameplay. There we have one of those Zealots. The Zealot has no upgrade. The Lings have a lot of upgrades. This is what I meant before. And yes, there is a cannon, but even cannons go down very quickly against Zerglings with these upgrades.
Well, he's trying to push out now with 2 Archons that have almost no shields here. We see the Mothership is about to come out. But yeah, you're totally right, Roddy. If you get behind in upgrades against a Zerg, it's like anything they make is going to beat you. We're about to have +3
so
here.
Sick.
Yeah.
Tasteless, I don't think I've ever seen this in a very competitive match where both players are obviously close to each other in skill level, that you see this Zerg with +3 melee against a Protoss that doesn't have a single upgrade. You know, a lot of things went wrong for Neeb and a lot of things went right for Dark. For that to be the case, well, damn, I'm blown away. I'm very, very impressed by Dark this game.
Yeah, it's not just that Dark handled the early game well, it's how he's exploited the late game that makes it pretty insane here. And, you know, Dark can really pick his own battles. He looks at that and says, I'm not going to fight that. Let me get a few more units. He's regrouped. There's some Banelings now in the back, so he decides he will try to dive in here. And, I mean, even if he loses all these Ultras here, he can just rinse and repeat. We see the supply plummeted down for Dark and then shot right back up as he's producing more.
Yep, he's just firing up 72 Zerglings. He's having fun. That was an unnecessary fight, because obviously he's the one that's on 5 bases. He's got all the upgrades in the world, so he could have technically just get that Great Aspire in peace, and he could have just spawned Locust after Locust. Instead, he went for it. He sacrificed a couple of units, but he reset the army count of Neeb as well. And Neeb simply doesn't have the economy to reproduce the units that he's losing.
Okay, Neeb goes ahead and backs up. Now, there is an opening here for Neeb to try to push in, but I think it might be a little bit risky. I mean, granted, he has to try to do something, but I mean, I think the odds of this working are just too low, right? And even the Locusts alone make Neeb think twice.
Lings are going to kill this army, Tasteless.
Yeah, it's
the first time where I'm going to tell you that Lings are going to kill 5 Archons.
That's right. You can't make 5 Archons against Lings like this. Are you crazy? Okay, so the counterattack, I think that actually should be the nail in the coffin. All Neeb has left over is this army.
Yep.
And you have to imagine that eventually Dark is going to wipe that out as well.
You're going to have a couple of Ultras that will get plenty of transfusions from these queens as well. There is a time warp. That's not something you see super often. The Ultras do go down, but the Locusts are going to take care of the Immortals eventually. And I think the reinforcing Lings and Banelings are going to be enough for Dark to take a 1-0 lead here.
GG, Dark takes game 1. But of course, this is a best of 5. There's still room for Neeb to hopefully have a comeback.
But the way that Dark played this, like, okay, you know, he made all those Lings and he got the kill on that Nexus that is always big. But at that point, I thought, you know, maybe Neeb can still do something. He's got the tech advantage, he's got Archons, he has Storm on the way. I actually believe that Neeb still has some wiggle room left in this game. But Dark just left no openings. He kept up the pace, he played an incredibly fast game, he was all over the place. I love the Baneling drops, love the Link drops, love the Swarm Host. And the emphasis on the upgrades, jeez.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny because as crazy as the end of that game was, a lot of that just came down to the start. You know, we saw that third base get denied, and from there it can get very, very tricky. Now, for game number 2, we're going to go to Lost and Found. I think if Neeb has a better start and there's no hiccups in there, maybe he can close it out.
I think if Neeb would have been able to identify a tiny bit quicker that this is what was happening, where Dark delayed his tech so much to get that many Queens, Lings, and +1 out, he can be more careful with his Oracles. And if he has 2 defensive Oracles rather than 1, I know he remade 1, but it was simply too late. If he has 2 Oracles at home, it doesn't really matter how many Lings that Dark produces. 1 shield battery and keeping your Oracles alive would keep that Nexus safe. And then I would love Neeb's position, but obviously that's hindsight. That's a lot easier for us to analyze than for Neeb while he's playing the game.
Game 2's ready. It's going to be on Lost and Found. Neeb versus Dark. Right now, Dark with a 1-0 lead.
Ready, fight.
In the bottom left, in the blue, our Protoss player, he is.
Team Neeb.
That beautiful flag. It's beautiful American right now. He's got this, Roddy. I believe in the comeback.
It's just game 1 of a best of 5.
That's right. In the upper right, in the red, our Korean Zerg, he is.
Dark.
And you know, Tasteless, it just went wrong when there was an emphasis on Archons and Immortals. You know what I want to see? Carriers. Where were my carriers, Tasteless?
Well, he didn't have that opening that allowed him to ever get to those carriers, unfortunately, Roddy. But maybe this time around,
if he just goes double Stargate instead of Stargate Robo, there's
so we got
always
some
a
people on
chance.
Team World here. I'm actually, I think I'm going to switch sides here. I'm the GSL caster, right? So I'm supposed to not be on Team World, but I'm going to switch over.
So Dark, open up with the spawning pool here because Neeb is blocking his hatchery from going down here. Now the scary thing about this is, even though there is no extractor yet, I mean, Neeb did a really good job here actually, delaying this hatch for as long as he did. Now Neeb is going to scout around to make sure that there's no hatch going up somewhere else. It is important though that Neeb knows when this gas is being taken, and he sees right now the Dark is mining gas. It's 140 and the extractor has finished up. If you do openings like this as a Protoss, you often tempt the Zerg to all-in you, whether it's a Ling Bane Boss or a Ling Flood or a Roach opening, Roach Ravager. You have to be very careful, so it's really important that Neeb keeps a close eye on what Dark is doing, because right now he basically poked the bear, and there is a chance that the bear gets angry and all-ins you.
But I think Neeb is going to be ready for that. I mean, you're completely right, Roddy. First of all, guys, the Zerg's in such an uncomfortable position because he had to get his first new base far away from the natural, and it's just hard to have your economy really pick up and get going. And so, yeah, maybe he will end up driving Dark into trying to do an all-in, and Neeb simply prepares for that and shuts it down, and we go to game 3.
But for now, it seems like Dark, he squeezed out a few more drones. He's going up to another base as well. So it all seems standard for now. It doesn't seem like Dark wants to all-in here. Neeb is obviously going to shade his adept to the other side of the map. I do really strongly believe that we are going to see a double Stargate opening here from Neeb. Obviously, first a single Stargate, maybe get a Phoenix, then an Oracle, and then maybe that second Stargate, because I believe that this is a map that screams carriers. And I just love carriers. I have an obsession with carriers.
Well, Neeb's pretty good with them as well.
Yes.
Here comes that adept. Now you can already see the annoyance here on the Zerg's part as the drones have to go all the way down to where that fresh new base is.
Wow.
And now he's in the main. One
the
drone
queen?
already down. Where's the queen? Queen coming up.
This is really good harass actually for a single adept. He gets the second drone. Can the adept live? No, but it's still good. A lot of lost mining time. I'd be okay with it. For a single adept, I think that's an excellent trade for Neeb.
Okay, well, the Overlord comes in here to scout. We don't see that second Stargate yet, at least, but the Phoenix is going to take that Overlord out. Evo Chamber coming down now here for Dark.
I'm curious to see if Dark is going to do the exact same thing. His stack was very, very late in that previous game. Now, obviously, +1 links can be effective against 2 Stargates, but it's also risky, because if you don't get the cancel on that Nexus, you basically dig your own grave. There's almost no way back from it, because then the AI units could potentially deal a lot of damage. There we do have my second Stargate, Tasteless. I have a feeling for those things.
You were right, man. You're like the Miss Cleo of casting over here, man. You totally got it.
I have no idea who that is, but I'll take it.
Okay.
Because you said it in a very sweet way, so I assume it's a compliment.
Oh, it is. So the Stargate is coming down here now. Now, of course, when you make it a little bit later like that, there's nothing that would tell Dark that this is going to happen unless Dark has the same attitude that you do, where it's like, okay, this would seem only natural to go for a double Stargate on this map. But Neeb's very good at this.
This scout is very important, because now Neeb sees the Evo Chamber, so he knows that if he wants to rush into 3 bases, that he either has to do it now or much later. Because in a weird way, if you do it at this point, the links are not out yet, so your Nexus can gather some HP. Sometimes, the quicker you expand, the safer it is, which sounds really stupid, but if you warp the Nexus in a lot earlier, it gets more HP. If you wait until you, like let's say the 5-minute mark until you drop the Nexus, then Dark can easily make 20 Zerglings, because he already has a good economy, and then your Nexus has no HP and it dies a lot quicker.
Another nice attack in here. 2 more drones are taken out, and he goes ahead and decides to back off. Now, I believe for the time being, Neeb is going to be banking a decent amount of these Phoenixes, because you could show them one by one as they increment out, but it's also completely possible to there we see it right now. He's hiding them because he wants to surprise Dark. He wants to come out here and catch Dark off guard.
So he's expending 5 minutes and 20 seconds into... What? Why are you doing that? That seems like such a waste of energy. I mean, there's going to be a lot more Zerglings out on the map, Neeb, so you want to be a little bit careful with your energy. You probably want to save that energy on those Phoenixes to lift those Queens, start picking up Overlords, even though you don't need energy for that, but you do need it to lift Queens. I'm very shocked to see him lift 2 Zerglings there, and I don't really like it.
It just seems like it was almost a reflex, is what he had there. Just, okay, I see that, I'm going to try to take that out. Now he wants to see if he can't get any drones, but I mean, so far Dark's defense is actually pretty good. Now there's that later Nexus. It looks like the way that the Adepts are positioned here, there's no way these links can try to deny this.
Well, Dark is making 20 links, so he's kind of giving us at least the idea that he wants to try. Good snipe there by Dark, picks off one of these Phoenixes from Neeb. What I would really love to see from our American Protoss is that, well, this is a smart move actually. That's really smart. If Neeb doesn't spot this, you often keep your Adepts and Sentries quite clumped up. If the Banelings get on top of this, it would be devastating.
Oh my god, he just missed that. He just barely missed that.
But he has force fields available, so maybe that can save
well, it's all going to come down to whether or not he gets over to his screen over to that location right there in time. The Nexus is about to finish up. Dark's going to have a very good timing. He might try to draw Neeb's screen away here with these Lings, and then the Banelings are going to head south into this expansion.
All right, Dark is going to try. He wants to get these Banelings on top of the Sentries, but the force field is in time.
And you can see now he's going to get another force field up, but the Banelings are still going to be able to slip through! Wow, beautifully done. Another Baneling comes in here and connects. The Adepts are taking too much damage. It's not every day that you see the Banelings come in there, they hit the workers, and they hit the army.
The worst thing is that he unpowered the shield battery as well. It's really time that these Phoenixes start doing something, and they will finally go for some drones. It's a lot of Zerglings on the other side of the map. I think Neeb needs a Void Ray or something, man, because once again, Dark seems to have broken Neeb on the ground.
Oh my god, he's got the Phoenixes pinned against the corner of the map, and Neeb just taps out. 2-0 for Dark. Oh wow, you can see Neeb right there. He is not happy with that game. I mean,
it's the Banelings. Like, I think a lot of people look at that game and they'll be like, wow, why did Neeb just leave? But it's just that Phoenixes are terrible against Zerglings. So it's really important that if you go for this many Phoenixes, that you stay safe on the ground. And technically he was safe as long as those Banelings wouldn't have connected with his Sentries, Adepts, Pylons, and Probes at the same time. That was just way too big of a connection.
It's funny because Dark just punches a hole in the game before Neeb really gets to get started, you know? Neeb is not able to get a third base up for very long. And I think Neeb right now going over, how did the opening go? Like, where is it? Is he making some bad decisions? Is he not scouting well enough? He needs to get an economy going before he's going to win these games.
I think it honestly came down to those Banelings. Up to that point, I didn't hate it for Neeb at all. They were even in economy, of course. Yes, Dark has a lot of Queens, but Queens are not the best anti-air against Phoenixes. They're good if they're in the right position, but Phoenix are a lot faster than Queens. So technically it's very hard for the Zerg to always have them in a perfect position. I really didn't hate that game for Neeb at all. Obviously he could have scouted the Banelings a little bit faster, but it wasn't even that. It's just that the one force field was slightly misplaced and the Banelings just got the absolute best connection possible. And sometimes with these playstyles, man, like Phoenix are amazing, but it's a very fragile playstyle. And it's really good if everything connects and it falls into the right place. But if one thing goes wrong, it's a domino effect. Everything falls apart.
All right, guys, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance real fast. Oh, no, I guess we don't have time. All right, so this is Game 3, Neeb versus Dark. Neeb needs to win every game from here on out, or he's dead.
Ready, fight.
Okay, in the bottom right, in the blue, our Protoss player, he is...
Team Neeb.
And in the upper left, in the red, our Zerg player from Korea with a 2-0 lead. He is...
Dark.
Uh-oh, that is a very fast gas. It's not common to see a Zerg player take his gas before they expand.
Yeah.
We all know that Dark loves to cheese the non-Koreans. Neeb is going to scout this and the alarm bell should go off immediately. The moment you see this, you're like, alright, is it going to be a link flood? Are you trying to Baneling bust me? Are you going to run roaches to the other side of the map? I don't know what your plan is, but this is an opening that you don't normally see on this level, because this is kind of bad for Dark's economy. He's investing a lot of his potential income early on to start mining that gas, so that obviously means he wants to do something with it.
All right, Americans everywhere are channeling their energy to Neeb. I'm sure some of you are probably taking your apple pies out of the oven right now. Some of you other guys are probably drinking something with high fructose corn syrup. Everybody, Neeb needs your support. Otherwise, the only Americans left are going to be casters here.
I'm worried about a Baneling bust here, because Dreamcatcher is a map where the wall-offs are often quite awkward for Protoss. You can take a look at where that pylon is positioned for Neeb. That's not how you ever want a Protoss wall to look. As we see, he has 4 probes on his gas as well. We'll keep a close eye on that gas count of Dark, but I think he could potentially go for a link flood Baneling bust here. And if you Baneling bust near the pylon, I feel like it's almost always going to work.
Yeah, and you know, one thing about Dark in these games with Dark versus Neeb is it's whenever there's an engagement, Dark seems to get the upper hand very, very quickly. Like he knows exactly when to move in. He knows exactly when to bluff and attack.
Maybe it's a Nidus build or something? Like Dark must be planning something special.
Yeah, we're waiting to see the attacking units here from Dark, because every time we see drones, it says, well, he's going to be macroing at least for now, but...
maybe he's just trying to scare Neeb, and he obviously did a good job in scaring me. Like if I scouted what Neeb scouted, I'd be already having a Fortune 3 cannon stasis.
Oh,
That's how scared I would be.
Well, I think he might have actually gone for the mind game here, Rotterdam. He's only making 4 Zerglings, so his actions seem to telegraph a rush, but he just goes right back into making drones. And, you know, sometimes just scaring someone into getting into a very defensive position is all you need. And then, you know, Neeb's taken those resources and hasn't really spent them wisely.
It feels like Dark was bluffing, and Neeb absolutely called the bluff, because Neeb didn't really make a lot of adjustments to his build at all. He's playing a very standard game. He is scouting, and at this point, oh, I guess he lost 1 adept in the middle of the map. That's scary, by the way, because he still knows about the way that, okay, now Neeb is actually showing respect to the potential. But Dark is not going for the Baneling boss. He's instead going for a very quick lair. And I just wonder, is this going to be for a Nidus, or it must be, I don't know.
Well, I mean, a Nidus would not be unreasonable, right? You could pop out, and I think, you know, that would be kind of a wise decision for Dark to rotate that in on a map like this. But yeah, right now the growth rate of Dark, it doesn't look right, you know?
He doesn't have 3 bases.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not like it's just not a normal thing. By the way, this Oracle actually doing a lot more damage than I thought. Let's see if it can get away.
It's taking quite a bit of damage.
You have to do something, so let's assume it's going to be a Nidus, right? That seems like...
Well, why is he getting an Evo chamber if he wants to go for a Nidus network?
I don't know, man.
I'm so confused.
I don't know. I just don't know what he's doing here.
+1 missile attacks. Roaches. Okay, I'm so confused.
I still don't understand.
What? He's taking all the gases now? Dark is showing us a lot of cool stuff in this series. I mean, Game 1, I think, was a piece of art. Like, the way that Dark played Game 1 was absolute beauty. game 2, I think, you know, I don't think Neeb was doing bad. This game, I can only imagine how confused Neeb is, because I'm watching this without Fog of War and I'm confused.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? And normally in RTS you can easily see what they're doing because we have vision of everything.
He's like almost...
Look at this.
He's provoking Neeb. He's like dancing his links back and forth on his natural ramp and stuff.
And by the way, if you look at the wall in there for Neeb, that's not how he originally wanted to set it up. I mean, he basically barricaded himself inside of his base. You see he's having to attack this gateway now to get out. Neeb thinking, okay, what in the hell is going on? I mean, Oracle's probably going around checking gold bases. Like, is he there? No.
Okay, now at least he gets a good scout on that infestation pit. So now once again, that gives us the idea that maybe it wants to be Swarmos again. The Swarmos were obviously excellent on Acid Plant, but that was a very different game. The Oracles are going to force a cancel.
That's actually pretty good. I mean, Zerg eventually has to get that third base, so denying that, it looks very simple, and it kind of is, but the impact is quite huge.
What a build by Dark. I mean, I guess Neeb's plan here is just to get a bunch of Zealots with charge out, maybe then one or two Immortals, a couple Archons, and then even if it is Swarmos, you just run to the other side of the map and you try to win with one big push. Yeah, and there's the Temple Archive, so maybe that's Neeb's idea now?
Yeah, let's see. Now on paper, guys, okay, here it is. It's going to be the Swarmhouse play. On paper, guys, the Protoss should be in a great position, just the way that the Protoss is expanded. The Protoss is doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, but this is an unorthodox approach. And this is not, I mean, what Dark's doing here, you can't do this every game.
A two-base Swarmhouse.
Two-base Swarmhouse is not considered stable and doesn't usually have a lot of longevity unless you did a ton of damage. But it's going to be up to Neeb to try to deny this tactic that's coming at him.
This is really a game where you would have loved to actually have double Stargate. The problem is, if you go double Stargate, and this would have been a very quick Nidus build, then you die. Because in general, you want to get Immortals out against the Nidus. And since Dark first made it look like a potential Bailing boss, then he made it look like a Nidus build, Neeb could not possibly go double Stargate in those scenarios, because that would be very stubborn and silly. And it feels like Dark is just in Neeb's mind now. Dark is playing this like a genius.
Yeah, this is actually so smart to do on this map specifically because of that ridge. You can just chuck the Locust over, and there's no real way for the Protoss to try to punish.
I mean, this is not what you want to do, because Neeb is trading out real units for Locust now. And these Locusts, they will keep on coming. I think what Neeb is going to try to do is, like I said, get 3 or 4 Archons out and then just run to the other side of the map. I don't think you want to sit back forever, because these trades are going to be very efficient for Dark and very expensive for Neeb.
Yeah, I think you're completely right, Roddy. That's probably one of the better approaches. Now, the Swarmhosts, as long as you can keep using them, you tend to get a lot of value out of them. But look, this has not been a normal tech at all. Okay, I mean, this is not something you can stay on for the entire game, I don't think. So Dark needs to have some kind of a plan. Now, I think with the next few volleys from the Swarmhost, he might be able to punt the Protoss off of a third base, which might be all he needs.
Neeb is going to be forced to use Pulsar Beam here as well. Decent force fields, but he's starting to lose quite a few probes here. Like I said, these are just going to become quite expensive trades. I must say, I think Neeb handled that all right. He lost 5 workers. He is counterattacking with Zealots, which is actually pretty nice, because obviously the Swarmhosts are on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and any of the Roaches can be pretty good against Zealots. There's just not enough. Looks like he accidentally shot one of his own creep tubers there. So the Swarmhosts have to go back, and this buys Neeb time. I mean, Neeb so far is handling this quite well.
Yep. I must say, a good micro by Dark as well, though. He didn't really lose much against those Zealots. But at least Neeb gets a little bit of breathing room for himself, right? Now he can fire up Storm, and now he can get that Archon count up. The more Archons you have, the better they will be against Locusts. But you don't want to fight against Locusts with Zealots, because then you're just trading out minerals for nothing.
Now, Neeb is getting close to completing his tech here, at least for the ground. Now that Dark's actually handled that harass there with the Zealots, he's going to try to come in here again. It's very important that Neeb is cost efficient in these fights.
One Archon disappears very quickly, a couple probes go down, one Immortal is very low on HP, but Dark actually doesn't pick it off.
How did that not die?
Yeah, and they went for the Zealots instead. So that's nice for Neeb. I mean, in the end, he lost a Archon there, but it's still something expensive for almost nothing, because Roaches don't really cost a thing.
Roddy, there are 24 Swarmhosts in this game.
It's ridiculous. I hear Todd all the way from Germany screaming at us. Look at the supply, guys. And
supply,
like,
yeah, no kidding.
I'm looking. Neeb, I mean, Dark's almost maxed out.
Look at this. It's just a comical amount of free units. And look at this. Protoss has to spend mana in order to try to get any kind of trade here. Those are going to drop, man!
That Nexus is going to go down really quick.
Wow. Now this is where it becomes problematic, is this is like this guerrilla tactic that Dark is employing.
Damn.
And the thing is, anytime Neeb wants to have a real fight, Dark just runs away.
Dark is playing so freaking good in this best of 5. He's picking off Archon after Archon now as well. At this point, Dark is maxed out. He's just styling on Neeb in this game, man. He played it very well. I love the mind games in the beginning, potentially saying like, hey, I might Baneling boss. Then it's like, this could be a Nidus. So if I were you, I would drop the Robo. And then instead it's 2-base Swarm host. So a 2-base Stargate or double Stargate opening from Neeb was very unlikely, because that would simply be too risky. And now suddenly you're in this scenario where the Swarm hosts are just amazing.
And you know that the ladder is going to be completely different for the next week in this matchup, man. There's going to be Zergs all over the place.
Well, the thing
Be
is,
ready
like,
for the Swarm host, guys.
the thing is, most people don't think on the level of Neeb, right? Like, if Neeb would have benefited a lot from being a bad player and being stubborn and would have been like, you know what, I'm going to go double Stargate anyway, no matter what I see.
Right.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But you can't do that, because then if it is a different build, if it is a Nidus or a very quick Link Flood Baneling boss, then he could have died.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's like sometimes if you're a really smart player, there's tricks that you can even use that are only working against them. And as you can see, Dark very gracefully sets up to bully Neeb back out. Neeb, there's no logic in trying to attack the Locust once they're out. I mean, you want to avoid that. At least Dark is shooting out Locusts at the army and Neeb can run away, instead of those Locusts tearing down the expansions that Neeb so badly needs to get set up.
But the nice thing about Neeb being out on the map is at least that you force the Swarm hosts to use their Locust on Dark's side of the map, right? And that's still good news for Neeb, because that means he's finally done losing probes. Oh, this is a little bit painful, though.
Man. Oh, and now he's actually split the army up here. And one thing Immortals are not great at is retreating here. And this means that I think about a third of the army here for Neeb is going to be taken down. Dark is maxed out with units that make free units. Yeah. And, you know, it's going to be minutes before Neeb could ever max out again, especially if these Locusts keep being thrown in here. And I think from here, you know, with Dark taking the initiative, he's just going to start throwing Swarm hosts down here again.
Yep, and this obviously scares Neeb as well. He's like, okay, now I just moved out and I lost 4 very expensive units. So now he's sitting back, and Dark is like, that's right where I want you to be, because that means I can just spawn wave after wave of Locusts, and you're going to end up losing a few more important units, and I don't have to worry about a thing on my side of the map.
Okay, another attack over here with these roaches. Takes out the pylon. This forces Neeb's army to come back. And you can see, especially with the way this map is shaped, it's really hard for Neeb to ever catch the Swarm hosts.
Dark has played such a good best of 5.
Yeah,
I'm actually blown away. I really thought this was going to be close. I had a lot of faith in Neeb. I really thought we're going to see some cool games with carriers and everything. But Dark played this like an absolute genius. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, this is just crazy. Again, another great usage of these roaches. It really has been the roaches comboed with the Swarm hosts that have made for a game that is just so hard for Neeb to deal with. Now, the game's not over yet. It's hard to see a situation where Neeb somehow can come back from this.
Yep. I mean, Dark, it almost feels like Dark is just having fun. Like, the only scary thing you could say is that Dark only has 53 drones, but he's maxed out with a bank on 53 drones, and that just shows how incredibly cost efficient
that being
he's been.
said, it is 4 base to 4 base, you know. But again, until we see these Swarm hosts die, guys, it's not looking good for Neeb.
Yeah, I mean, if Neeb gets his supply up there, slowly but steady, he is climbing though, right? Like, yes, Neeb has been losing units, but he hasn't been losing probes anymore. No matter what happens though, I'm very impressed with the way the Dark has played this so far. The multitasking has been unreal as well. I just love the non-stop movement of the roaches. I love where he got his Swarm hosts, always in safe positions. Like, again, he's dealing a lot of damage to Immortals. He gets 2 of them on the left side, gets a few probes. But you're right, as long as Neeb, let's say, gets up to 170, 180 supply, he is absolutely still in it. It's just, I have a hard time imagining he's ever going to get there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an uphill fight, right? So, you know, every time these roaches come in here, for instance, they're going to take out a good amount of workers. Then the Locusts come in here. And the thing is, with this amount of Locusts, you can just right-click on the Nexus, and it dies. GG! Dark wins 3-0.
In a very, very, very convincing way, and in an awesome way as well, showing us there is more than one way to play Zerg. He's really shown us some cool builds, some creativity, but above all, absolutely fantastic execution. Like, chapeau, Dark, that was impressive.
Yeah, bravo, Dark, really showing that There are many ways to take out a top-tier Protoss. We're going to go to an interview now and see how Dark is feeling. 3-0 in Neeb.
Here is the winner for this match. Congratulations. 네, 먼저 닙 선수에게 3대0 승리 소감부터 들어보겠습니다.
How do you feel about your victory versus Neeb with a 3-0 victory?
사실 경기장 오기 전에 좀 자신이 없었어요. 질 자신이.
질 자신이.
그래가지고 좀 마음 편하게 왔는데 좀 너무 게임하는데 집중도 안 되고 졸리더라고요. 그래서
네.
좀 풀어졌는데도 이런 경기력 나오니까 저도 좀 놀라웠어요.
I had zero confidence of losing this game, and while I was practicing, everything went so smooth. So I kind of took it easy, and despite the fact that I took it easy, and I came here and I won today, so I feel good about it.
그렇다면 질 자신이 없어서 경기 전에 세레머니로 시작을 하신 건가요?
You told us that you have no confidence to lose. Is that why you started off with that ceremony?
사실 좀 하고 잠깐 후회했어요. 지면 너무 부끄러울 것 같아가지고 후회했는데 좀 세레모니도 해서 좀 멘탈이 많이 나간 것 같더라고요. 그래서 결과적으로는 좋게 작용한 것 같아요.
It was a means to cause a psychological warfare. However, immediately after I did that, I kind of regret it because if I were to lose, then the repercussions will be so big. Fortunately, I won, so everything worked out as planned.
네, 오늘 경기도 참 멋진 플레이 보여주셨습니다. 마지막 세트에서 와, 군단 숙주를 28기를 뽑으셨어요. 굉장히 많이 뽑은 것 같아요.
You showed a remarkable games. In the third set, you made about 28 swarm hosts. What was the reasoning behind making such an excess amount of swarm hosts?
그 경기가 좀 상대방이 많이 겁을 먹었잖아요. 그래서 쉽게 이길 줄 알았는데 은근히 좀 잘 버티더라고요. 그래서 딱히 뽑을 것도 없고 해가지고 군단 수출 계속 뽑았는데 이겨서 좀 다행인 것 같아요.
네, 굉장히 인상적인 경기였습니다.
I knew my opponent was very scared going into the third set, and however he managed to pull off various attacks that I threw at him. So I was contemplating, and I figured out why not just swarm host, and then I made a bunch of swarm hosts, and in the end it just turned out well. So lucky me.
자, 다음 상대는 스칼렛 혹은 클래식 김도우 선수인데 혹시 이 중에도 엄지 세레모니로 할 만한 사람이 있나요?
Your next opponent will either be Scarlett or Classic. Which one do you prefer to give that taunting ceremony?
아까 그 경기하기 전에 도우 형한테 준비해 놓은 세레모니가 있어요. 저도 하다가 좀 생각나서 웃겼는데 도우 형이 올라왔으면 좋겠는데 아마 스칼렛이 이길 것 같아가지고 못 보여줄 것 같아요.
Before the match, I came up with an idea what I'm going to do if Classic were to advance and face me. However, I don't think Classic's gonna make it through versus Scarlett.
네, 마지막으로 팬들에게 한마디 들어보겠습니다.
Any last words to the fans?
좀 이렇게 더운데도 많은 분들이 와주셔서 정말 감사드리고요. 내일도 재밌는 경기 보여드릴 테니까 내일도 많이 와주셨으면 좋겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Despite the blazing weather, thank you for your attendance to the studio. I'll try to show my best games tomorrow as well. Thank you.
We will be back with our last match.